I shot my father in the kitchen that crisp October morning. Not with a gun, but with the one truth he'd buried deeper than my mother's casket, the affair that shattered us long before her cancer did. The bullet was a single email, forwarded from a ghost account I'd nursed like a grudge for 5 years, landing in his inbox just as he sipped his black coffee, steam rising like the lies he'd exhaled over family dinners. His face crumpled, not in rage, but in the hollow defeat of a man who'd gambled his soul on silence and lost, forcing me to wonder if revenge tasted this bitter because it mirrored the betrayal it sought to avenge. It started in the fluorescent hum of a Seattle hospital room, where Mom's breaths came in shallow rasps, and Dad's hand trembled in hers, promising forever even as his phone buzzed with texts from the woman who'd become his second chance at happiness. I was 22 then, fresh out of college with a psych degree that felt useless against the void opening in our lives. Lillian Harper, the dutiful daughter, the one who held the morphine drip steady while Dad stepped out for air. But I knew. I'd seen the late nights at the office stretch into dawn, the cologne that wasn't his wafting from his collar, the way his eyes darted when Mom asked about his day. I covered for him because love is a blindfold you tie yourself, and family, that's the knot that chokes you silent. Mom died on a Tuesday. Gray skies over Puget Sound mirroring the ash we scattered at Golden Gardens. Dad wept at the funeral, his Armani suit rumpled, eulogy choking on words like devoted and unbreakable. I stood beside him, arm linked in his, whispering condolences to aunts and uncles who praised his strength. Strength. What a joke. That night, in the empty house on Queen and Hill, he cracked a bottle of scotch and confessed, not the affair, but his loneliness, as if that absolved the hotel receipts I'd found crumpled in his glove box months earlier. I nodded, poured him another glass, and buried the evidence in the recycling bin, telling myself it was grief talking, not greed. The woman was Elena Vasquez, a sharp-edged real estate agent from Tacoma with a laugh like shattered glass and a portfolio of waterfront properties that screamed new money. She was the kind of Latina firebrand who turned heads at PDA meetings, voluptuous curves in pencil skirts, dark hair cascading like a challenge, eyes that promised both salvation and sabotage. Dad met her at an open house 6 months before Mom's diagnosis, when he was scouting investment flips to fund her treatments. One coffee led to lunches. Lunches to nights he claimed were networking. By the time Mom's chemo rounds blurred into hospice care, Elena was the phantom in our fridge, leftover empanadas labeled in her looping script, a silk scarf draped over the couch like a flag of occupation. I hated her before I met her, but denial is a Harper family heirloom. Dad proposed to her on the 1-year anniversary of Mom's death, a diamond from the same jeweler who'd sized her wedding band. The engagement party was at her sleek condo in Belltown, all exposed brick and harbor views, fairy lights strung like nooses over craft cocktails. I showed up in black jeans and a thrift store blouse, the only mourner in a sea of Botox smiles and tech bros toasting fresh starts. Elena air-kissed my cheeks, her perfume, jasmine and ambition, clinging like accusation. Lillian, honey, your dad's told me so much. We're family now. Family. The word landed like a gut punch, but I smiled, clinked glasses, and excused myself to the balcony, where the fairy horns wailed like warnings unheeded. That's when I started digging. Not out of spite at first. Psych major habits die hard. I needed data to process the dissonance. Late nights in my cramped Capitol Hill apartment, laptop glowing like a confessional, I traced Elena's digital footprints. Public records first, Divorced twice. No kids. A string of lawsuits against exes for emotional distress. Then deeper, hacked into Dad's email archives with a password he'd never changed, Mom's birthday. The irony. There it was, the timeline. Elena knew about Mom's illness before I did. Dad had confided in her over platonic dinners. Months before the official scan results. She encouraged the affair. Not as temptation, but as strategy, whispering that Mom was a sinking ship, that he deserved a partner who could handle the load. Handle the load. Like Mom was baggage. Her pain a line item on a balance sheet. But the real poison? Elena had pushed him to falsify Mom's will. It was subtle, a suggestion over wine that he preempt inheritance disputes by updating documents while Mom was incapacitated. Dad resisted at first. Emails frantic with guilt. Then Elena flipped, tears in text threads. Accusations of him loving a ghost, more than her. He caved, forging addendums that funneled the bulk of Mom's estate, our family home, her life insurance, to a trust for the family's future. Future meaning Elena's. I discovered it in a scanned PDF buried in his cloud drive, my signature, forged in looping cursive that mimicked mine too closely. She'd done it. Or coached him to. I was the scapegoat, the daughter who'd agreed to protect his assets from predatory medical bills. Lies layered like sedimentary rock, each one crushing the truth beneath. Rage isn't a spark, it's a slow burn that hollows you out. I confronted Dad in his office downtown, the space needle piercing the skyline like a needle in my vein. Rain lashed the windows as I slid printouts across his desk, emails. The will. His face drained of color, Scotch veins mapping his cheeks. Lily, it's not what you think. Elena. She was helping. We were drowning in debt. Debt from her condo down payment, her Porsche lease. Mom's treatments had been a drop in the Pacific compared to his midlife reinvention. He begged, tears. Promises to fix it, to cut her out. But Elena? She was the architect. The spider in the web, spinning silks of manipulation that bound him tighter with every plea. I played along for months. The good stepdaughter at barbecues and brunches. Elena's arm looped through mine like we shared secrets. She tested me, subtle jabs over mimosas. Your mom sounds lovely, but holding on too tight. You know, some people just fade. I smiled, nodded, filed it away. Dad flipped between us. 1 week confiding in me over beers at the Pike Place Brew Pub. The next ghosting my calls after Elena's girls' night tears. He was her puppet. Strings yanked by whispers of abandonment. Promises of passion. Controversial? Hell. In America's divorce courts. It's standard playbook. Blame the dead. Rewrite the narrative. But this? Stealing a widow's grave? That crossed into the abyss. The plan crystallized over a solitary Thanksgiving. Turkey rotting in my fridge as I stared at the email draft. Revenge wasn't destruction, it was revelation. I compiled the dossier, forged docs, affair logs time-stamped against Mom's hospital visits, Elena's history of gold-digging suits. Anonymized it through VPNs and burner accounts, then scheduled the blast. Not just to Dad, to her network, his board, our extended family, even the real estate association that fawned over her empire. The hook, a subject line reading, The Price of Paradise, how one family's fresh start buried the truth. But doubt gnawed. Was I the villain? Exposing wounds in a city that chews up the vulnerable? Elena wasn't a monster. She was a survivor. Clawing from a Tacoma trailer park to penthouse views. Using men like rungs on a ladder.
Dad?
Weak. Not wicked. America's everyman. Trading vows for validation.
Me? Lillian.
The Avenger with ink-stained hands. About to detonate a bomb that could orphan me twice over. As the clock ticked to send, I pictured Mom's smile. Faded in photos. And hit enter anyway. The shatter came not in screams, but in the silence after, the kind that echoes forever. The fallout hit like a Pacific squall, winds howling through our fractured lines before the eye of calm deceit. Dad's phone exploded first, voicemails from his law firm partners. Texts from cousins I'd carpooled with to church as a kid. Is this true? Call me. He stormed my apartment that afternoon, face thunderous under the perpetual Seattle drizzle, pounding the door until the neighbor's dog yipped in protest. I let him in, brewing chamomile like we were discussing fantasy football, not felony forgery. What the hell? Lillian? You trying to ruin me? His voice cracked on ruin, eyes bloodshot from the night before, likely Elena's consolations turning to accusations. I sat on my thrift store couch, legs crossed, the dossier printed and stacked like a Bible on the coffee table. Ruin? Like you ruined Mom's legacy? Or how about the part where you let Elena sign my name to steal it? He paced, hands raking his salt and pepper hair. The same gesture he'd done when Mom's PET scan came back positive. Excuses tumbled out, pressure from bills. Elena's influence, like she was a cult leader. Not his fiancée. She didn't mean it. Lily. It was a mistake. We're fixing the will. Making it right. Fixing. As if trust was a leaky faucet, not a dam breached. Elena arrived an hour later, tires screeching into my no parking zone like she owned the block. She burst in without knocking, designer trench dripping on my IKEA rug, her makeup a war paint of smudged liner and crimson lips pressed thin. You little bitch, she hissed. But there was no heat, only calculation. Eyes flicking from me to Dad like she was tallying assets. She didn't lunge or slap. Elena was too evolved for that. A product of Oprah book clubs and therapist couches. Instead, she collapsed into Dad's arms. Sobs theatrical. Murmuring, "How could your own daughter do this to us?"
Us.
The word twisted like a knife, positioning me as the intruder in my own bloodline. We three formed a tableau straight out of a Lifetime movie. Dad the beleaguered patriarch, Elena the wounded ingenue, me the ice queen betrayer. She flipped the script masterfully, pulling out her phone to prove innocence, screenshots of deleted texts where Dad begged her to help with the will. Her replies of feigned reluctance. I told him it was wrong. Robert. I begged you to wait.
Lies.
But polished, seeded with half-truths from the emails I'd overlooked in my haste. Dad's shoulders sagged, buying it wholesale, his gaze shifting to me with dawning betrayal.
See?
It was my idea. You didn't have to expose us like this. The controversy ignited online before dinner. Elena's real estate page, once a shrine to sold signs and sunset listings, now crawled with comments. Gold digger? Thoughts on the Harper scandal? Hashtags trended locally. Seattle widow scam. Family first or fraud, fueled by a Reddit thread I'd anonymously seeded with links. Neighbors who'd waved at our Christmas lights now averted eyes at the grocery co-op. Dad's firm put him on administrative leave, pending an internal review. Elena? She lawyered up overnight. A Tacoma shark named Ruiz who specialized in defamation suits against disgruntled family. Her Instagram stories pivoted to victimhood. Black and white selfies captioned, "Strength in storms blessed," racking likes from her Pilates crowd. I retreated to Mom's old studio in the attic of the family home. Our home. Damn it, claiming space while Dad and Elena worked things out in the master suite. The room smelled of dried lavender and acrylic paints. Canvases stacked like ghosts, seascapes from Whidbey Island getaways. Portraits of me as a gap-toothed kid. It was my war room now. Laptop humming with fresh intel. Elena's past unraveled further under scrutiny. A hushed settlement with her first husband over misappropriated funds. Whispers of identity theft in her second divorce. She was a chameleon, shedding skins to climb. But cracks showed, a DUI expunged from records. A restraining order from a jealous ex that smelled like payback. Dad flipped again, mid-December. Cornering me in the kitchen amid gingerbread chaos Elena orchestrated for holiday spirit. His voice low. Urgent. Lily, end this. The lawyer says exposure could tank everything, my career, our savings. Elena's. She's pregnant. Pregnant. The word detonated, scattering flour like shrapnel. A half-sibling, conceived in the bed Mom died dreaming of. My hand gripped the counter, knuckles whitening, as visions collided. A baby in Elena's arms. Dad beaming at PDA nights I once owned. Is it yours? Stupid question. His nod was sheepish. Hopeful. We weren't planning.
But
It's a sign. A fresh start. For real this time. Betrayal's second wave crashed harder. Not from the affair's ghost, but this new life staking claim on our ruins. I wanted to scream, how dare they seed hope on stolen ground, but Psych 101 whispered, Manipulation 101. Elena timed the reveal. No doubt. To humanize her. To paint me the barren villain aborting futures. Controversial decisions loomed. Expose the pregnancy as ploy? Risk child services scrutiny? Or swallow it? Let the kid inherit the lies? I chose the attic shadows. Plotting escalation. Christmas Eve. As they trimmed the tree in tinsel denial, I leaked the pregnancy to the family group chat, framed as joyous news, but attached to a redacted excerpt showing the trust's redirection. Congrats on baby 2. Hope the inheritance covers diapers. The backlash split us like fault lines. Aunt Carla called, voice quivering, Lillian, this is cruel. Think of the child. Uncle Mike emailed support. Your dad's a fool. But blood's blood. Elena retaliated with a cease and desist. Ruiz's letter arriving via courier on Boxing Day. Gold embossed threats of custody battles if I continued harassment. Custody for a fetus? American justice. Weaponized for the wealthy. Dad vanished into work binges. Then Elena's arms, oscillating like a pendulum of regret. She thrived on the tension, posting ultrasound pics blurred for privacy, captions dripping empathy, growing through the pain warrior mom. January thawed the literal ice, but not our freeze. I audited the trust myself, hired a PI on credit card debt, uncovering Elena's shell company siphoning funds for renovations on a Bainbridge flip. The revenge climax brewed in fevered nights, not a public smear, but private Armageddon. I'd confront them at the gender reveal, ironic. Pink or blue balloons popping truths instead. But as invites arrived, scented with vanilla ambition, doubt crept. Was I avenging mom? Or just orphaned by my own fury? The city pulsed on. Fairies cutting wakes like scars. Indifferent to our melodrama. Seattle's progressive veneer hit its cutthroats, in coffee shops and co-working spaces. Stories like ours played out daily, divorces disguised as upgrades. Kids collateral in adult games. Elena sensed the storm, inviting me to a mediation lunch at her favorite Capitol Hill bistro. all exposed Edison bulbs and farm-to-table facades. She arrived solo. Dad tied up, her belly just starting to curve under silk. Truce. Lillian? For the baby. Her eyes. Dark pools of feigned vulnerability.
Cerked mine.
I sipped my oat latte.
Nodding.
Truce.
Lies.
Of course. Under the table. My phone vibrated. PI's report. Elena's first ex. Ruined by her loans. Now homeless in Everett. The cycle. As she prattled about nursery pallets, I saw the flip, her hand on the swell. Not maternal glow, but leverage. The decision crystallized, polarizing, irreversible. I'd leak it all, not to destroy, but to force choice.
Dad's.
Hers.
Mine.
The baby? Innocent shrapnel in the blast. But mercy's a trap. That night, alone with Mom's paints, I mixed grays into a canvas storm, wondering if revenge was just betrayal's echo. The reveal loomed, balloons taut as my resolve. The gender reveal unfolded under a merciless April sun on Elena's rented yacht off Alki Beach, waves lapping like applause for the absurd. 200 guests, her influencer friends, Dad's golf buddies. A smattering of my estranged relatives milled the deck in pastel linens, champagne flutes fizzing against the Olympics silhouette. I arrived last, black sundress, a funeral flag amid the pinks and blues, carrying a gift bag weighted with the untraceable USB drive, the full dossier, narrated in my voiceover. A confessional video clocking in at 20 minutes of unsparing truth. It's blue, someone yelled as confetti cannons primed. But I slipped the drive into the sound system's port during a distraction, Elena's toast to unexpected blessings. The video autoplayed mid-pop. Screens flickering from ultrasound bliss to affair screenshots. My narration slicing through. This is the cost of fresh starts built on graves. Gasps rippled. Phones whipped out. Dad's face ashen as he lunged for the laptop.
Elena froze.
One hand on her belly, the other clutching a railing. Her empire of facades cracking live. Chaos erupted, not fists, but factions. Her friends clustered, whispering crazy ex-daughter, while Dad's sister yanked him aside, hissing about disbarment. I stood amid the maelstrom, heart hammering, the polarizing heart of it all, avenger or arsonist. The crowd split, some nodding at the screen's evidence, murmuring about justice for the widow, others glaring at me, phones dialing lawyers, decrying family sabotage in the age of cancel culture. Elena recovered first, ever the performer, microphone snatched from the DJ. This is a deepfake.
People.
My stepdaughter's struggling. Grief does that. Deepfake. The accusation ignited debates on deck. Guests parsing pixels like prosecutors. America's truth-eroding reflex in full swing. Dad flipped publicly then, wrenching from her grasp to face me across the littered confetti. Lillian. Enough. You're tearing us apart for what? A ghost. His words landed like buoys in the tide, pulling some to his side. Kids these days.
No forgiveness.
But the video looped, timestamps damning, and whispers grew. That will looks forged. Holy shit. The yacht docked in a blur of sirens. Someone called the cops on disturbance. Seattle PD boarding with questions about fraud. Not assault. Elena lawyered up on the spot. Ruiz airlifted by chopper. Her pregnancy now a shield in every utterance. Think of my unborn child. Dad oscillated one last time, torn between her sobs in the cabin and my silent stare from the rail. He chose, tentatively, me, pulling me into a salt-stiff hug as guests disembarked, murmuring about Harper drama. We'll fix this. Lily. Together. But Elena's glare over his shoulder promised war, custody, countersuits, character assassination. The weeks blurred into legal limbo. Headlines in the Seattle Times framing it as heiress versus heir, tug of war over a dead woman's fortune. Public opinion polarized like a midterm vote. Reddit rants hailed me as hero daughter, while Elena's TikToks, belly forward pleas for privacy, garnered sympathy from momfluencer hordes. Toxic family alert. Controversial? Undeniably. Forgery's a crime. But so is doxing kin in a confetti apocalypse. I bore the brunt. Job interviews tanking from Google alerts. Friends ghosting with too messy texts. Yet in the attic sanctum, sifting mom's letters unearthed post-diagnosis, I found absolution. Protect what's yours.
Lil.
Blood isn't always thicker. The twist came in July, swelter-breaking Seattle's cool facade. As Elena's water broke prematurely in a Tacoma ER, stress-induced, Doc said, her empire crumbling under audits. Dad rushed to her side, but not before confessing the deepest bury. The baby wasn't his. A fling from her bachelorette weekend. A tech bro rebound she gaslit him into believing was fate. She told me it was a miracle. He wept in my kitchen, head in hands. I wanted to believe. Elena's final flip, not villainy pure, but desperation's daughter, trapping security in a lie that boomeranged. The boy, named Elias, after her grandfather, arrived blue-eyed and furious. DNA tests pending but whispers confirming the cuckoldry. She vanished post-delivery. Trust dissolved in court. Her Porsche repoed, fleeing to LA. With promises of a memoir, Betrayed by Blood, a mother's fight. Dad? He stayed. Hollowed. Selling the house to split the remnants fair, me the home. Him a condo downtown. We rebuilt tentatively, Sunday hikes in Discovery Park. Beers at Elysian where he admitted the affair started as escape. Elena as accelerant. I failed you both, he'd say. And I'd nod, the grudge softening to scar. No fairy tale. Therapy unpacked the mess. But America's underbelly lingered, divorces as blood sports. Secrets as currency. As for me, Lillian Harper, 30 now. Canvas stretched anew in the old attic, painting not storms but sunrises over the sound. The revenge? It changed everything, shattered illusions. Yes, but forged a truth we couldn't unsee. Was it justice or just another fracture? Debate that over IPAs at the pub. I'll raise a glass to the gray. Mom's voice echoes in the waves. Live fierce. Kid. I do. Twisted endings aren't tidy. But in this land of reinvention, they're the only honest ones.